All right, now let's open up app.js. So here in this app component, it would be nice to have the current user in the state. And then when rendering the navigation bar, we could easily pass the current user as a prop. We could also pass this user to any other components in our component tree. So let's add a state property here. We initialize it to an empty object, and then we implement component did mount. In this method, we get our JSON Web Token from the local storage, decode it to get the current user, and then we'll update the state. So first, let's call local storage.getItem. Our key is token. So this returns a JSON Web Token. Now we need to decode this. For this, we're going to use a library called JWT Decode. So open up the terminal and install JWT-decode version 2.2.0. Okay, beautiful. Now, on the top, we need to import a function from this module. So let's add another import statement. We import JWT decode from JWT-decode. So this module exports a default function, and we call that JWT decode. We can call it anything. This is the default object or default function that is exported from this module. Okay, now see how I have organized my import statements. On the top, I'm importing objects from third-party libraries. After these, we are importing components from our application. And finally, we have our CSS modules. So it's a good practice to have some kind of organization in your import statements. Now, back to our component did mount method. Here we call JWT decode and pass this JSON Web Token. This gives us the current user object. Let's verify that. So user, save. Back in the browser, you can see the current user object on the console. So we have email, IAT, which is the time our JSON Web Token is generated, as well as the name and ID properties. So we have the user object. Now we need to update the state. So this, set state, and we pass our user object. So as you know, this will cause our app component to be re-rendered. Now we can pass the current user to our nav bar as a prop. So here we set user to this.state.user. So this is the basic idea. Now we need to look at the edge cases. What if our application loads and we don't have a JSON Web Token in the local storage? That is the case for anonymous users. So let's remove this token from our local storage and see what happens. Delete. Now refresh this page. Our application crashed. Invalid token specified. So if we pass null, an empty string, or an invalid JSON Web Token to this decode function, we'll get an exception. To solve this issue, we need to wrap these few lines in a try-catch block. So try, we move everything here. And then if we have any errors, we'll just ignore that. Because technically, this is not an application error. This is only to handle the scenario where we don't have a valid JSON Web Token in the local storage. So save the changes. Now back here, our application is working, beautiful. So next we're going to modify our navigation bar. If the user is not logged in, we'll display the login and register links. Otherwise, we'll display the user's name along with a logout link.